What's up? Hope everyone's having a good day and is ready for another video in the series we like to call Underrated Throwers. Today we got Gerd Kanter, who is by far my favorite thrower of all time through all the events. Alright, I think he is possibly, you could argue, the greatest thrower of all time in any event. Possibly one of the greatest track and field athletes of all time. He is the third longest thrower ever at 73 meters 38 for men's discus, a 16-time medalist at major competitions, which I include as European championships, world championships, and Olympics. He is an Olympic champion in 2008, a 2007 world champ in Osaka, and I think he probably has arguably the best technique of all time. And I also think he's also very underrated because not a lot of people know. In fact, I think a lot of younger people probably know Gerd Kanter mainly as Christian Chase coach now. But Gerd Kanter was coached under Estonian, who I've actually made a video on. And if you guys don't know who Estonian is, one, go check out the video that I made of him in this series. And two, he's also, I consider, the greatest discus coach of all time. He's coached Gerd Kanter, Daniel Stahl, and Simone Peterson, all 70-plus meter guys, all on the top 25 list, 2 top 10 people, and Daniel Stahl and Gerd Kanter. And I also think Gerd Kanter is very underrated. One, because I just don't think a lot of younger people probably won't know who he is because he retired in 2016, I think. 2016. And I don't think a lot of people saw him when... I think a lot of people saw him when he was older. But back in his prime, in the mid-2000s, from like 2005 to 2008, he was hitting 70 meters. I think he still probably, has the most 70-meter throws of all time. And this throw right here is 70 meter. Oh, it doesn't say. It did say. Oh, yeah, here it is. 70 meters 38. He's had a 72-meter throw, obviously a 73-meter throw, a bunch of 71-meter throws, and a whole bunch of 70-meter throws. All right? And he's been around from 2004 to 2016. So, actually, well, no, I think his pro career started... His first Olympics was 2004. I think he started his pro career in 2003. It might have been 2004. But he joined the 70-meter club in 2005. And then I think 2006 is when he hit 73 meters. I could be wrong about that. But, I mean, the list goes on how many records he holds. He holds the indoor discus world record, which a lot of people don't know is a thing. But he threw 69 meters 59. I'm pretty sure that's it's 69 something. Which indoors... which a lot of Americans probably aren't used to, but in Europe, they actually do hold discus competitions indoors. Robert Harding has competed in a couple of those. You can look them up on YouTube. Germany holds a lot of them. But throwing 69 meters indoors is actually, in my opinion, one of the most underrated throws of all time. That is just insane because you even outside, when people say there's no wind, there's still a little bit of wind. But indoors, there is absolutely no wind at all. All right? And to throw 69 meters indoors is insane. All right? And I would highly recommend, there's a video of it on YouTube. I would check it out. But, I mean, I could go on and on about Gerd Kanter, but I just think he's very underrated. Because I don't want people to forget him and Virgilijus Alekna. Although I don't think Virgilijus Alekna is quite underrated because his son is competing now and is doing a bunch of dominant things. But if you guys want me to make a video, if you guys think he's underrated, God, I hope not. But I didn't think Gerd Kanter was underrated until I was talking to a couple people and a couple throwers, and they did not know who Gerd Kanter was. And I instantly went home and I made this and I'm making this video because that is outrageous to me. How a thrower does not know who Gerd Kanter is. That's like not knowing who Ryan Krauser is, honestly, if you're a discus thrower, to be completely honest. I consider Gerd Kanter the second best discus thrower of all time, only behind Virgilius Alekna. Although I could make the argument that Gerd Kanter is better in terms of consistency and longevity. Maybe. But he's still my favorite thrower. All right, he's still my favorite thrower. He's the thrower I looked up to the most. I want to meet him one day. I met his coach, Vestina Stuyson. But I've never met him. So hopefully one day Christian Che will compete in California, and I'll be able to instantly get in my car, drive up there, not only to watch Christian Che, but meet Gerd Kanter as well and ask some things, hopefully. But enough of me talking about Gerd Kanter. Again, I'll link his height, weight, personal best, notable accomplishments in the video description. I think he's around 6'5", 6'6", 280 pounds. And let's just take a look at this throw. This is a 70-meter throw he did in, I think, Salinas or Chula Vista. I forget which one. I think this is the Chula Vista one. This looks like Chula Vista. He had a bunch of throws, so there were 70 meters in Salinas and Chula Vista. But as you can see right off the bat, super repeatable, simple technique. Now, unfortunately, this video doesn't have his the precursor to his wind. It only has the half of his wind, but you get the picture. Really nice, just simple. This is all you need. All you need is it to be back there, and as long as you don't really, you see how he's not turning his left foot, so he's creating that stretch. In the wind, you want to create that stretch in your right side and your left side, and you want to feel that stretch in your core, and then maintain that stretch through the entire, and then keep maintaining that right side stretch throughout the entire throw. All right, so he does a great job of that. Really nice, relaxed, in a athletic, good position. Knee slightly bent, hip, butt slightly over his heels, not super lean back. Chest a little forward to get balance over his balls of the feet. Nice long arms. And then really nice here. I really like the separation out the back. So you want to think about the back as a reverse V. So he's here and here. So let me get a straight line. I know this isn't straight back, but you want to think of it as a reverse V. All right? So you want to think about your knees opening up, out and out. All right? And that creates a tremendous stretch in your groin. And that makes your sweep leg snap around. As you can see here, how it just snaps around. So you shouldn't even have to think about it. Shouldn't even have to think about the sweep. This is all based on reaction and stretch reflex. And once you create stretch in a muscle, it's going to want to uncoil like a rubber band. Like if you stretch a rubber band back and then let it go, the more you stretch it back, the more force it's going to have. So the more stretch you can get out the back, the more force you're going to be able to produce out the back and through the ring. All right? You just have to be strong enough to maintain that force. All right? So that's why discus throwers, not only any thrower, has to be incredibly mobile, but strong as well. So it's a very unique balance you have to have. But you have to have super mobile hips. And another trick that helps with this, getting the separation, is think about when this left side is turning, and I'm speaking for right-handed throwers, when this left knee is turning, all right, put this knee out. So you see, as this turns, as his left knee turns, his right knee is going out right here. So that makes it go out and around. And that also helps create that big stretch and the separation in between the knees. All right. And then the final thing he does to get even more stretch is he kind of scrapes the floor a little, like kind of like a skateboarder would, in a way. It's hard for me to demonstrate this on video, but he's kind of having his right foot go out to the side to even get more. So it's going out and out. So it's going out to the right side and then out forward to the back of the ring. And that's also creating a tremendous stretch. So he gets a big stretch right here. All right. And people normally say that this this left knee, this left foot is a problem because it doesn't turn all the way. But I would argue there have been throwers who throw far with it, like Gerd Kanter and Daniel Stahl, with it not with turn to here. And there have been throwers that throw far with it turned directly down the sector. You have to find what works for you. This kind of technique is if you're thinking about sprinting and like pushing off this left foot, then yes, you want to turn it all the way. You want to turn it to the middle of the sector where you're gonna go. But that's not what Gerd Kanter is thinking, and I know this because I've watched religiously a bunch of Estonian, his coach, videos, and I even asked him about this when I met him. And you want to think about, and what his thought process is out the back in the sweep, is that you don't think about pushing off with your left foot. It just is a reaction of what your sweep leg is doing. So right now he's thinking about his sweep is turning him into the ring, and that's what's getting him across and what's getting him turned. All right, so it's super rotational, and then the left foot is just reacting and pushing off, but you're not thinking about pushing off. All right, and you'll notice too, I guess it's kind of hard to tell because of the angle of this video, but his left knee is pointing down this sector. So he's kind of getting a jackknife effect, which I could have got a better video, but I've seen Gerd Kanter video analysis, but I've never seen anybody take this throw. In fact, a lot of people they just review his 73-meter throw or his Olympic finals throw, but nobody ever. I try and analyze videos that I've never seen people really analyze before, so that's why I'm analyzing this one. And I think it's an interesting angle. It's usually throwers aren't usually videotaped from this angle, but he gets a great sorry. Excuse me. So sorry. Where was it? Oh yeah. So his left knee is pointed that way. So that's what you want. You want to think about this left knee going out and around, and down, just like this. So it's going out and then around. And he likes to keep his left arm inside his left knee, which I think is fine. I personally don't care if it goes past your left knee or inside your left knee, as long as you're not ripping with it. If it goes past your knee, so you're not pulling yourself around with your left side, I don't really care. People throw far both ways, all right? And it's hard to see with this kind of angle, but his sweep leg, the groin is facing the sector, and he's soccer kicking, so this whole inside of the foot and inside of the leg is facing the sector. All right, so he's not leading with the knee, so he gets a tremendous amount of angular momentum and rotational speed out the back. So he gets his hips turned. You want to think about your right butt cheek facing the sector. All right, and that's what's going to get you stacked. So he's perfectly stacked over everything. And Gerd Kanter has a higher high point than most, and people will argue that he scoops. But if you notice, so let's see, his high point peaks right there. If you notice, when he releases at that point. So he's following his orbit. it doesn't matter how high your orbit is as long as you release it at your high point. All right. And if you're a 70 plus meter discus thrower, you can have a high point because, you know, it'll still go. All right. Generally, if you throw a little shorter distances, you probably don't want as high a high point. So, and this is just a style. You see a lot of people have this kind of orbit if they throw like this. So that's just something to keep in mind. I know the discus is barely in frame, but you see there's no wobble. So you can always tell if you're throwing discus, if you knocked the disc off your orbit, depending on how it released. If it's coming out all wobbly and looking like a dying goose, then you knocked it off its orbit. If it's just flying perfectly straight with a slight angle, that's good. That's what you want. That's what you want. And that means that you followed a good orbit. All right. So, but let's get back to this. So he lands in the middle, really nice stack. And you notice he holds his whole left side. And it waits so patiently for that right foot to come around. So he's holding that chest to sector. Boom, right there. And then does a really nice job. I really like the wide knees because that creates a lot more separation and a lot more tension in his core, and acts as a counterbalance, so he's able to stay on his right side easier. Because you want to think, so out the back, if you're sweeping wide, that's good because it acts as a counterbalance and a lot easier to stay balanced on your left side. All right, because if you swept with your knees super close together, then you're going to probably fall this way and not be super balanced and land really heavy on your right side. So you want to think about your left foot like that as well, and have the wide left knees. All right, because that acts as a counterbalance, so it's a lot easier to stay stacked on your right side. All right. And so he does a great job with that. Beautiful landing, flat left foot at the block. Doesn't let his heel drop, his right heel, so he lands nice and stiff on it, and then gets a tremendous amount of force. Really nice right hip into the ground. And even though he's still in the air, look how long he holds his block. And the discus is out of his hand right here. All right, so he's out of his hand right here. So basically he's on the ground the entire time. And you notice this bent right knee, that's exactly what you want. You don't want to jump. So if you extend this right knee, you're going to just jump up in the air and you lose all your forward momentum and you don't get out on the discus. You only go and you just throw it straight up. So if you have problems scooping the disc and throwing it straight up, look at videos of you, and if your right knee is extending, that's probably what's causing that. All right. But what you want to do is you want to extend this, you want to bend this right knee while locking out the left knee, and the left foot is thinking going backwards and your right foot is thinking going forwards. So you're going up opposite. All right, and what that does is it really snaps your hips into the throw and really helps you stop all your left side energy and make it go into your right side. All right, so you get insane jolt. So if you notice here how that acceleration happens. So, and I know you can't really see his left knee, but he's right now locking out that left knee, putting it backwards. And pushing backwards as his right side is going forward, and that's what creates that block. All right, if you're a reverser, you don't want to, and that's what creates the height as well for the reverse. That's what gets you a little off the ground. If you notice, like pure non-reversers, they tend to bend their left knee a little because they want to stay grounded. All right, so that's something to keep in mind as well. So you're here. I mean, he's here really, really nice, really long. All right, boom, out of his hand. So you notice his left foot lands there. Oh, okay, the camera moves. But his right foot replaces it. All right, his right foot replaces left foot. That means he got all the energy into the discus, into the right direction. All right, so if you reverse and your right foot doesn't replace your left foot, chances are you probably didn't get all the energy. So you either under rotated, in which case your right foot would land here, or you over rotated and your right foot lands here when you reverse. And that's not what you want. You want it to replace exactly where your left foot was, where it landed in the front, because that's where you're going to be throwing. All right, your left side dictates the direction you're going to be throwing, which is why it's super important to have a long left arm and to hold your chest. All right, because holding the chest allows you to go forward as well into the middle. Because if you just kept rotating, you're not going to go anywhere, and you're going to land super open. All right, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Super open in the front, I mean. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And honestly, I mean, I could just watch Gerd Kanter all day. I mean, this throw is spectacular, obviously, because it went 70 meters. But do yourself a favor and watch Gerd Kanter during this time, like 2005 to 2008 or 9. And just, yeah, he's just incredible. All right, later in his career, he changed coaches, and he got older and then kind of screwed. I didn't like his technique. They kind of lowered his high point a little, so I don't know. It just wasn't the same Kanter. But, yep, hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys have a newfound respect for Gerd Kanter and his technique. I think he's a really good technical model, does a lot of simple things that are super repeatable. And that's really why I think he was so consistent through almost a 20-year career. Actually, I think over a 20-year career. I don't want to do math. But, and able to earn able to earn 16 medals in a 20-year career. That is basically unheard of. And 60 medals in major competitions. And consistency and repeatable technique is what gets you to throw far. All right, that's when you can start building upon it. If you don't have a baseline technique that, even if on your worst day you have the confidence that you can throw a certain distance, like for me, I'm a shot putter. All right, and even on my worst day, I know I can still throw like 15 meters, like 70 on like the worst day of my life. All right, and I have the confidence in my technique that I can do that. All right, so that's the kind of baseline technique you want to have, and that takes years of experience, years of practice to get to this kind of level. And it takes a lot of dedication and hard work. But another thing that helps is just don't do a bunch of weird stuff. All right? Add some weird stuff, or add some quirky stuff that you think will make you go further. If you're already throwing really far, then that's when you add stuff like that. Or don't, and just keep perfecting stuff. But the basic stuff works. Everything Gerd Kanter does not do a lot of flashy stuff. He just hits all the most basic positions. And he's the third furthest thrower ever. All right? So, if that's not a lesson, Ryan Krauser, well, I guess he kind of does the flashy stuff a little, like the Krauser step in. But his baseline technique is simple. Joe Kovacs' technique is simple. All right? Christian Chase technique is simple. Daniel Sells technique is simple. You look at the best throwers of all time, all they do is the basic stuff better than anybody else. All right? So if you don't take anything out of this video, take that away. All right? Throwing is not very complicated, all right? So don't make it complicated. All right? So hope you guys learned something and have a new respect for Gerd Kanter if you didn't already. And I'll see you guys in the next one. See y'all later.